Gavin Newsom's talking about potentially running for the president. Actually, he's not talking about it. He's trying to avoid talking about it, but we all know what he's doing because he has to leave the gubernatorial seat in 2026. The governor's seat is 2026. We know what he wants. You gonna pull it off with the record that took place in California all of these years under your stewardship? It's nice to see him sticking his chest out and going off. You think they don't have clips of how you embraced extreme leftist policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day?
Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith teamed up to challenge Gavin Newsom's record in California, and their criticism quickly turned into a tough and highly talked about exchange.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want for running president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win.
Many critics say California has struggled under Gavin Newsom's leadership. But while those debates continue, talk of a possible presidential run is already heating up. Then, Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith weighed in, and their comments were impossible to ignore. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get started.
And the Democrats, my God, please find somebody who can lead. Gavin Newsom is out here in California. Out here in California. Pulling off in his own way what I think he wants to. He's being known more for trolling Trump on his podcast or with other interviews than what he's actually doing in the state of California. They think that's leadership because they don't have it. They know what they're doing. These politicians know. They know where the money is.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when discussing Gavin Newsom. He argued that while California continues to face major challenges, Newsom appears more focused on building a national profile than addressing problems at home. According to Smith, residents are dealing with high living costs, businesses leaving the state, and growing frustration over the direction California is heading. Yet, instead of concentrating on those concerns, he suggested that Newsom has spent much of his time making media appearances, criticizing Donald Trump, and positioning himself on the national stage. To Smith, the contrast was hard to ignore. He questioned whether enough attention was being given to the issues affecting everyday Californians, while political ambitions seemed to take center stage. He described it as a case of style overshadowing substance and raised concerns about leadership priorities during a critical period. Smith also argued that despite the frequent criticism aimed at Trump, the president continues to maintain strong support in many parts of the country. In his view, Newsom's attacks risked looking more like political messaging than meaningful solutions to the challenges facing California.
They know how to get some of it too, because Marjorie Taylor Greene came into office. She was worth a couple of $100,000 according to the reports. How the hell you leave departing and you worth $25 million? Where'd it come from? I work every day. I make a pretty good salary. I ain't making $25 million. Working on Capitol Hill with a salary that's less than $400,000 by accident, somehow, some way, lobbyists up on Capitol Hill, you vote in one way or another, making sure that you assuage their concerns and appeal to them and all of this other stuff. And in the meantime, you getting paid, but the American people ain't. That ain't an accident.
How do you really feel?
That ain't an accident. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
And that's where many critics say the disconnect becomes impossible to ignore. Leaders like Gavin Newsom are often seen as fully aware of the challenges facing everyday people, yet their actions don't always seem to reflect those concerns. For some, that creates the impression that politics has become more about influence and ambition than public service. They argue that while many families struggle with rising costs and economic pressure, those in positions of power often appear insulated from the consequences of the policies they support. Questions about wealth and political influence frequently become part of that debate. Critics point to high-profile figures and wonder how significant financial gains can occur while serving in public office. Whether those concerns are justified or not, they continue to fuel public skepticism. At the heart of it all is a growing sense of frustration. Many people feel that the system isn't working for them, and that those responsible for solving problems are often the ones who seem least affected by them. It's that perceived gap between leaders and the people they represent that continues to drive distrust and dissatisfaction.
I mean, you mentioned our governor. He used the words culturally, what was it? Culturally normal. He said the party needs to get more culturally normal.
He needs to get more culturally normal. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. I actually like Gavin Newsom a little bit anyway, but it's just the truth.
I like him. What does that mean to you, culturally normal? What do you think he means? What does it mean?
I do not know what he means, but I don't. But I will tell you, I mean, that, again, I come from Michigan, where like, the average person just is a very pragmatic, like, put your head down and wants to work.
Right.
That is it. And so I will be honest, we made hats at the end of my last campaign that just said Team Normal. I don't give if you're a Republican or Democrat and independent, just like live in the zone of practicality.
I still don't know what culturally normal is supposed to mean, and that's part of the problem. Terms like that get used by politicians and commentators, but they're rarely explained in a way that everyday people can easily understand. If it refers to something specific, then why not just say exactly what it means? If you've got a clear definition, let me know in the comments. That said, I do agree with Alyssa Slotkin on one point. Both the far left and the far right need to dial things back a bit. Constant political extremes and culture war battles aren't bringing people together. If anything, they're pushing the country further apart.
To me, I don't know what he meant, but I think the average person understands that, like, sometimes you just take the simple way out and everyone can agree.
Somebody, 45%, they're saying 45% of folks in America, whether they vote Democrat or Republican, they're really independents, about 45%, which means that you're going to have a chunk of the American population that's going to influence these upcoming elections. And I'm looking forward to it because it needs to be influenced. As far as I'm concerned, not you, not talking about you, but most folks on Capitol Hill, it just needs to be purged.
Well,
they need to go.
As long as they're being actual policymakers and not just provocateurs.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher have both argued that a political shakeup is long overdue. Their criticism goes beyond party lines and reflects a broader frustration with a system many people see as out of touch and lacking accountability. In their view, too many politicians have become focused on holding on to power while important issues remain unresolved. And while Gavin Newsom may be nearing the end of his time as California's governor, critics argue that shouldn't automatically qualify him for a larger national role. For them, real change isn't just about replacing one politician with another. It's about choosing leaders who can deliver results and restore public trust.
We know what he wants. You gonna pull it off with the record that took place in California all of these years under your stewardship? It's nice to see him sticking his chest out and going off. You think they don't have clips of how you embrace extreme leftist policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day? You think they don't have footage of crime ravaging the streets of Los Angeles or homelessness?
Gavin Newsom's possible presidential run, according to Stephen A. Smith, could create major problems for Democrats if it isn't managed carefully. He argues that once Newsom steps onto the national stage, critics will quickly dig up old clips and past comments, especially those linked to controversial political messaging. In today's media environment, nothing really disappears, and every soundbite can come back to haunt a campaign. Opponents, he suggests, would likely use those moments to question Newsom's consistency and how well he connects with everyday voters. One example that keeps resurfacing is his shifting stance around the term Latinx. At one point, he appeared to distance himself from it, but older clips show a more complicated picture, which has fueled claims of political inconsistency. Since then, the lack of a clear explanation has only added to the skepticism, with critics saying these contradictions could become a serious liability in a national race.
Policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day? You think they don't have footage of crime ravaging the streets of Los Angeles or homelessness? You think they don't know about the cost of living and how it's the highest in this republic right now? Let's talk. Let's talk.
Stephen A. Smith then shifts to what he sees as deeper problems in California under Gavin Newsom. He points to issues like homelessness, where billions have been spent, but according to critics, the visible progress still feels limited. The same frustration is often mentioned with the state's high-speed rail project, which has faced years of delays, rising costs, and reduced expectations. Critics also bring up other major spending areas like water infrastructure, wildfire prevention, and housing programs, arguing that large budgets haven't translated into results fast enough. For Smith, it all adds up to a pattern of heavy spending with underwhelming outcomes, raising questions about how effectively California's biggest challenges are being handled.
Why the hell are you playing right into the hands of Donald Trump? Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, as it involves migrants, immigrants, those who are undocumented, dare we say illegal, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won a popular vote. There's a reason he won the Electoral College vote. There's a reason he won every swing state. There are people within the United States of America that want our immigration crisis addressed and want the situation resolved somehow, some way. And the person that seems eager to bring a resolution to the table is President Donald Trump.
Stephen A. Smith argues that even on immigration, Donald Trump appears to have the advantage, describing his approach as calculated and strategic, almost like a chess player, thinking several moves ahead. He suggests Trump isn't just reacting to political moments, but actively shaping the narrative and forcing opponents into positions he can control. From that perspective, he believes Gavin Newsom often comes off more reactive, stepping into debates on terms that Trump has already set. The result, he argues, is a political edge that continues to favor Trump on a high-stakes issue like immigration. For Smith, it's not just about policy, but about who controls a conversation. And right now, he believes Trump is winning that battle.
Stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Bill Maher's reaction said it all. When he asked the question, it was clear something didn't quite add up for him, and the argument from Gavin Newsom didn't fully land. He appeared confused about why California would need a law pushing department stores toward gender-neutral toy sections, raising questions about whether lawmakers were focusing on real priorities. Newsom's response, that the idea originated with retailers, only made the issue feel more unclear. The exchange reflected a wider skepticism about the policy, leaving many wondering whether it addressed an actual need or just added more regulation where it wasn't necessary.
Because I live here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just want to make this a better state like everybody else.
Amen.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome. That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. Yeah. And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. Right. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on big almond.
Take on big almond.
This is just one example critics often point to when discussing what they see as chronic mismanagement in California under Gavin Newsom. They highlight the recurring wildfire crisis, where large areas are threatened year after year. Some argue that water policy decisions, including the demands of water-heavy agriculture like almond farming, don't always line up with emergency needs. Almonds are often mentioned as a water-intensive crop that still plays a major economic role. Supporters say the industry brings in revenue, but critics argue the trade-offs raise concerns about sustainability and preparedness. When wildfires break out, firefighters and residents are left dealing with the immediate consequences, fueling debate over whether resources are being directed where they matter most.
We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language, you're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this, I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Looking at everything together, critics like Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher see a larger pattern in California under Gavin Newsom. They point to issues like unfinished or costly projects such as high-speed rail, ongoing wildfire challenges, and debates over homelessness and state spending. In their view, it all reflects priorities that don't always deliver results. Some also argue that Gavin's possible presidential run could bring these controversies under even sharper national scrutiny, especially around past policy decisions and public messaging. At the same time, they describe Donald Trump as more strategic and deliberate in shaping political narratives, while Newsom is seen by critics as more reactive. From water policy debates to controversial laws and shifting political language, critics say the bigger concern is leadership focused more on optics than outcomes. For them, it all comes down to accountability and results. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe for more.